Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Collision review. It's been a while since I did a AEW Collision review, but Collision tonight was from the XL Center in Hartford, Connecticut, and Collision just ended, and the show tonight, I thought it was a very good show. Really enjoyed AEW Collision tonight. We had a good card also. We had Andrade El Idolo versus Buddy Matthews. It was a ladder match to retrieve Andrade's mask. And we also had Darby Allin versus Minoru Suzuki. Samoa Joe was in action, and he had taken on Gravity. You remember Gravity, the luchador that we've seen Wednesday on Dynamite. We also had Austin and Colton, the Guns, and Juice Robinson versus Darius Martin, Action Andretti, and El Hijo del Vikingo. Mercedes Martinez was in action, and she had taken on Kiera Hogan. And the main event, which the show revolved around. It was FTR, Dax Harwood Cash Wheeler, versus MJF and Adam Cole for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. But overall, Collision tonight was a very good show. Really enjoyed it. But let's jump right into the review. AEW Collision opened up tonight with Andrade El Idolo versus Buddy Matthews. This was a ladder match to get Andrade's mask. So we had Buddy Matthews end up making his way out first. He was accompanied by Julia Hart. And Andrade El Idolo came out after. So the match got underway, which this was a very good ladder match here. This was very well produced. It was one of the best booked ladder matches, in my opinion. But match started off, Julia Hart was on the apron, and she was trying to distract Andrade. So both Andrade and Buddy Matthews end up decking it out with each other. Buddy ended up smacking Andrade across the chest with some chops, and those chops were loud. They echoed throughout the arena. They echoed throughout the XL Center. Andrade came back, and he ended up sending Buddy Matthews to the outside. So Buddy Matthews then ended up grabbing Andrade's ankle. Andrade then climbed the ladder, and this was an awesome spot here in the match. So Andrade delivered a huge moonsault off the ladder to Buddy Matthews. Such an awesome, great spot there in the match. Fans were chanting, "Holy shit." And like I always say, Andrade knows how to do a better moonsault than his wife, Charlotte Flair. I think Andrade should start teaching his wife how to do a better moonsault. Because anytime we see Charlotte Flair do that moonsault off the top, it is fucking awful. That she should stop doing the moonsault. So Andrade then grabbed the ladder, and he tossed the ladder into the ring. He slammed Buddy Matthews' head on the apron, and he grabbed another ladder, and he put it in the ring. Andrade set up one of the ladders against the turnbuckle. So Buddy Matthews was then tossed into a ladder, set up in the corner. Andrade then delivered two snap suplexes to Buddy Matthews. So this was Andrade doing the Three Amigos on Buddy Matthews here, in honor of the late great Eddie Guerrero. Andrade was going to do a third, but Buddy Matthews ended up reversing that. But Andrade ended up tossing Buddy Matthews spine first into the ladder. Andrade then set up another ladder in the ring, and the fans were going crazy. The fans were so into this match. So Andrade turned around, and Buddy Matthews ended up delivering a ladder to Andrade's face. Buddy Matthews then ended up setting up a ladder. He went to the outside, and he was being looked at by a doctor that was at ringside, and then Collision went to commercial. And during the picture-in-picture, we saw Buddy Matthews end up going back to the ring. He was favoring his left arm, and he tossed Andrade down with one arm. So as Collision came back from the commercial, Ian Riccaboni on commentary ended up telling everyone that it was the shoulder of Buddy Matthews and that Doc Sampson readjusted Buddy's shoulder so that he could continue in the match. So Andrade was on the outside. Buddy Matthews ended up rolling to the outside, and he set up a ladder between the ring apron and the commentary table. And so Buddy Matthews ended up dropping Andrade on the ladder. So both Andrade and Buddy Matthews were up on the apron. Andrade was nailed with a huge pump kick knee by Buddy Matthews. Buddy Matthews then ended up following up with a huge elbow to the back of Andrade's head. So both guys were exchanging blows on the apron. Andrade then chopped Buddy Matthews, and he sent Buddy Matthews head first into the turnbuckle. Buddy Matthews ended up coming back, and he ended up DDTing Andrade on the ladder, which was crazy. Buddy Matthews then ended up grabbing a table, and he sent it into the ring. He set the table up in the corner. He then ended up driving Andrade's face into the table. Buddy Matthews ended up climbing the ladder. The fans were booing him. Andrade dragged Buddy Matthews off the ladder, and he hit him with a pump kick. Andrade was pointing to the outside. He rolled to the floor. Andrade ended up climbing a ladder on the outside. Andrade made it to the top. Buddy Matthews was on the other side, and Andrade ended up telling Buddy to come on. So both men were on the top of the ladder. They were exchanging blows. Andrade then delivered a huge sunset bomb on Buddy Matthews onto the ladder, which was crazy. Another good spot here in the match. Just a lot of great spots here. So we had officials end up checking on Buddy Matthews. Fans were chanting, "This is awesome." Andrade then climbed the ladder. He was trying to get to his mask. Buddy Matthews ended up coming back to his feet, and he pulled Andrade. So Buddy Matthews' knee was driven through Andrade's face. Julia Hart then pulled out some handcuffs, and they were trying to handcuff Andrade to the bottom rope. So Julia Hart started taunting Andrade with the keys. Andrade was able to nail Buddy Matthews, and he was able to reach the key. Andrade was able to reach the key and uncuff himself. So Andrade then handcuffed Buddy Matthews to the rope, and Andrade then tossed the key into the crowd. So Julia Hart ended up grabbing some bolt cutters. Andrade was up on the ladder. Julia Hart then ran to the ring. She climbed on Andrade's back as he climbed the ladder, but Buddy Matthews ended up breaking free. Andrade then ended up sending Buddy Matthews down. Julia Hart slapped Andrade across the face, and so Julia Hart was going to slap Andrade again. Andrade ended up grabbing Julia Hart's arm, and then he shoved Julia Hart off the ladder, and it sent her into Buddy Matthews, and they both crashed through the table. Andrade then grabbed his mask, and that was that. Andrade ended up winning the ladder match, and he retrieved his mask, which got a big ovation. from the crowd. Overall, this was a awesome ladder match. This was, in my opinion, the best match of the night. This match was booked perfectly. The pacing of the match was good, and it built suspense towards the end of the match, which was awesome. Just both Andrade and Buddy Matthews were just phenomenal. They were just great in this match. But overall, best match of the night. And then we went backstage. Tony Schiavone was interviewing Miro. Schiavone ended up asking Miro about a battle coming soon, to which Miro was interrupted and he was attacked by Aaron Solo. Miro started fighting back with a chair and he was yelling for Tony Schiavone. And pretty much that was basically that. So it looks like we're going to get a Miro Aaron Solo match, after seeing this. And then as AEW Collision came back from the commercial, Darby Allin was in the ring. Darby Allin ended up saying that he wants a fight. So out came Minoru Suzuki. Minoru Suzuki walked out. He got a good ovation from the crowd there in Heartford. So the match got underway. Darby Allin versus Minoru Suzuki. Darby ended up sending Minoru Suzuki to the outside. And then he attacked Minoru on the outside. Darby then grabbed a chair. He upset Minoru on it. And then Darby started biting him. Darby went to the apron. He ended up nailing a huge drop kick to Suzuki. So both men end up going back in the ring. And the match ended up starting. Darby ended up slapping Suzuki across the face. Both guys were exchanging blows. Suzuki then ended up nailing Darby as he ended up going down. Darby Allin then got up on the apron and he applied a chokehold on Suzuki. Minoru then broke the hold. And then he ended up nailing Darby with a huge knee. So we had Darby end up going to the outside. Darby was then tossed back in the ring by Suzuki. And he ended up delivering a huge knee to Darby's face. Suzuki ended up going for the cover. And Darby Allin ended up kicking out. And then Collision went to commercial. So then as Collision came back from the commercial, Minoru Suzuki was in control of the match. He ended up nailing Darby with a knee to his midsection. Darby then rolled up Suzuki, and Suzuki kicked out. So both guys were exchanging blows again. Darby ended up going down on the chops from Suzuki. Darby then shoved Suzuki, ended up chopping him hard as Suzuki ended up going down. So Darby was up. Minoru Suzuki ended up putting his hands behind his back. Darby then slapped Suzuki. He then charged Suzuki in the corner, but Suzuki ended up countering that as Darby Allin ended up hitting the springboard on Suzuki. Darby went up to the top. He was attempted to hit the coffin drop on Suzuki, but Suzuki ended up catching him for a chokehold. Darby then turned the chokehold into a pinfall, and so Darby Allin ended up winning the match. Minoru Suzuki was stunned. He was arguing with the referee, and he was saying his arm was up. So he ended up going to the outside. He grabbed a chair, but he ended up walking off. And pretty much, that was that. And then post-match, we saw Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. They were on the screen. Christian Cage still carrying the TNT Championship on him when it is supposed to be around Luchasaurus, since Luchasaurus is the TNT Champion. So Christian ended up saying that Darby Allin has a distraction with AR Fox turn on him. So Christian then ended up saying that they are the TNT Champion, meaning that him and Luchasaurus are the TNT Champion. Christian then ended up saying to Darby that he will send him to Hot Topic or wherever he came from. So pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this was a good match between Darby Allin and Minoru Suzuki. Both guys gave it all they got here in the match. You know, both Darby Allin and Suzuki are great in the ring. And then we had Samoa Joe, the Ring of Honor World TV Champion. He ended up taking on Gravity. Gravity, the luchador that we seen Wednesday on Dynamite, to which he lost to Pac. And this was a squash match. So the bell ended up ringing. Gravity ended up sidestepping Joe. Gravity attempted to nail Joe and then sidestepped him again. Of course, Gravity was doing his moonwalk in the ring. So Joe ended up kicking Gravity in his midsection. Gravity ended up charging Joe. Joe came back with a forearm in the corner to Gravity. So Joe ended up tossing Gravity, who then climbed the ropes, and he attempted to hit a drop kick on Joe, to which Joe moved out of the way. Joe picked up Gravity, dropped him with a muscle buster, and there you go. Samoa Joe ended up winning the match. So Gravity could go back to NASA. Of course, Ian Riccaboni ended up saying that Gravity is the younger brother of Bandito. So, yeah. Gravity lost on Dynamite, and he lost tonight on Collision. Gravity, NASA is calling you. They're saying, oh, get back to the space station. So you can moonwalk your way to the space station. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Tony Schiavone was in the ring. Tony Schiavone ended up welcoming CM Punk. So CM Punk came out, got a mixed reaction from the crowd. He was carrying the red bag. So Punk ended up high-fiving fans at ringside. He was fist-bumping fans. He got into the ring. Fans were loudly chanting Punk's name. So Punk was wearing a shirt that said, I'm a Collision guy. So Punk ended up stopping Tony Schiavone from talking, and the fans started booing. Schiavone then ended up asking Punk about Ricky Starks, and also what is in the bag. Punk ended up saying that there has been a whole lot of things going on in AEW. He then ended up saying that before we talk about the bag, he was like, how is Heartford doing tonight? Punk ended up saying that the travel has been crazy, and he only showed up 2 hours ago, and always makes his towns. He then wanted to say that there are a lot of things going on in AEW Collision. He then ended up saying that he wants to mention Wembley Stadium. So Tony Schiavone ended up asking if CM Punk is going to wrestle at Wembley at Allin. So Tony Schiavone ended up saying that Ricky Starks has a lot to do with what is in the bag. Punk ended up saying that he can take the L, and he ended up asking Starks if he can take the win because he is a cheater. Punk ended up going to say that he was left holding the bag and must be a responsible adult in the room. So now the fans were chanting to Punk, what is in the bag? Punk ended up saying that Ricky Starks is a cheater and that he is not going to be nice anymore. He ended up saying that this is him not being nice anymore because the truth doesn't care if you are right or wrong. So he reached into the red bag and he pulled out a AEW World Championship. He ended up saying that he is the real champion and it has his name on it and that nobody has beat him for it. And it still has his name on it and his blood on it. So the fans end up booing that, and I'm like, is he disrespecting MJF as the champion? Because MJF is the world champion. So I'm like, all right, I'm confused here. We have Punk having the world championship in his hand, but MJF is the world champion. So Punk ended up saying now it has his logo on it. So Punk pulled out a can of black spray paint. He ended up painting an X on the title. So the fans end up booing very loud at Punk. Punk wanted to say that the X has represented him since 1997. He ended up saying that he is the real world's champion, and this belt belongs on Collision. So he held up the title, got boos from the crowd. So Ricky Starks then interrupted Punk. He ended up asking for his music to be played. Ricky Starks then walked slowly to the ring, and Nigel McGuinness and Ian Riccaboni were like, "Oh, it is Ricky Starks." And I'm like, he was just out there. He was like, "Oh, just hit my music." And then Nigel McGuinness and Ian Riccaboni were playing it up, which was funny. So Starks grabbed the mic. Fans were chanting Starks' name. Starks ended up saying to Punk that was a great story and that he is sold on gold. He ended up saying to Punk he would have done the same. Starks then ended up saying what is on Punk's shoulder is his. Starks ended up saying that he is the real world champion and he is the face of Collision. Punk then ended up asking Starks if he is the face of Collision or a cheater. Punk then ended up asking if the refs beat him twice and not Starks. Starks then ended up saying that he can have Stevie Wonder as the ref and can still beat Punk. Punk ended up asking Tony Schiavone if Starks wants a title shot. Starks ended up saying that he deserves a title shot. So Punk ended up saying that if Starks wants a title shot, he will need a special guest referee for extra eyes. Starks ended up saying that he has no friends in AEW, and if he has to go up to Stamford to get someone. Punk ended up saying that he did anticipate this, and that he made a few calls, and it is someone from his past. Starks ended up saying that he deserves a shot. So both Starks and Punk end up shaking hands. Tony Schiavone then ended up announcing that the match is set next Saturday on Collision. So it's going to be CM Punk versus Ricky Starks. And then Tony Schiavone ended up announcing that the special guest referee will be Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which that got a big pop from the crowd. Of course, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, WWE Hall of Famer. It's going to be great to see Steamboat next week. So Starks looked surprised and he was concerned. Ian Riccaboni ended up telling us that Steamboat has never cheated a day in his life. So pretty much that was how the segment ended. But this was a good segment here, with Punk coming out there. We finally got a reveal of what was in the red bag. It was the AEW World Championship, and then Punk just spray painted the X on it. Which now we're going to have 2 World Championships. MJF has his World Championship, and now Punk has his own for Collision. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, what are we doing here? But, it should be a good match next week, with Punk and Ricky Starks. And then we had the Guns, Austin Colton Gunn, and Juice Robinson versus Darius Martin, Action Andretti, and El Hijo del Vikingo. And this was a trios match. This was a decent trios match here. So the match ended up starting with Colton and Darius Martin going at it. So we had Juice Robinson then end up coming in as Collision ended up going to commercial. So during the picture-in-picture, Vikingo was in the ring. Juice Robinson was also in it. The Guns ended up taking out Action Andretti and Darius Martin. So Juice Robinson and the Guns end up holding a cardboard cutout of Jay White. Juice Robinson ended up dropping Vikingo on the apron, tossed him into the guardrail. So Juice Robinson ended up grabbing Vikingo by his hair and tossed him back in the ring. So this was when Collision came back from the commercial. Vikingo ended up fighting back as Colton Gunn was tagged in, but he was tossed to the outside. Colton Gunn ended up dropping Vikingo with a full Nelson slam. Vikingo then made the tag to Action Andretti, and Action Andretti ended up dropping both Guns with a springboard back elbow. Action Andretti ended up hitting both Guns with a forearm. Juice Robinson and the Guns were sent to the outside as Action Andretti and Darius Martin ended up picking up Vikingo, and he tossed him into Juice Robinson and the Guns on the outside. So at the end of the match, we had Colton Gunn being tagged in. They had taken out Darius Martin and dropped him with the 310 to Yuma, and ended up going for the cover. And they go Juice Robinson and the Guns ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a decent trios match here. And then we went to Mercedes Martinez versus Kiera Hogan. It's been a while since we've seen Mercedes Martinez, in AEW. And it's been a while since we've seen Kiera Hogan. Of course, she was one of Jade Cargill's baddies, to which, from what I heard, Jade Cargill might not come back to AEW, from what I read in an article. But who knows if that's true or not, though. But this was an okay women's match here. So both Mercedes Martinez and Kiera Hogan end up shaking hands. Mercedes Martinez ended up sending Kiera down and started stomping on her in her midsection. Kiera Hogan got back up, and she was met with some drop kicks by Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes Martinez ended up picking up Kiera Hogan, dropped her face first to the mat. Martinez ended up picking up Hogan, dropped her with a brainbuster. She ended up going for the cover, and Kiera Hogan ended up kicking out. Kiera Hogan ended up kicking Mercedes in the face. She ended up going to the corner as Mercedes ended up picking up Kiera and dropped her with a big neck breaker. Mercedes ended up going for the cover, and Kiera Hogan ended up kicking out, and then Collision went to commercial. Then when Collision came back from the commercial, Kiera Hogan ended up going for the cover on Mercedes, and Mercedes ended up kicking out. So Kiera then ended up attempting another roll-up, but Mercedes ended up kicking out. Kiera then ended up going for a Fisherman's Buster, but Mercedes countered that, ended up driving Kiera down to the mat. Mercedes then ended up dropping Kiera Hogan, locked Kiera Hogan with a sleeper as Kiera Hogan ended up tapping out. So we have Mercedes Martinez win the match. Post-match, Mercedes Martinez wouldn't break the sleeper hold as the bell was ringing still. So then Chris Statlander, the TBS champion, ran down. And she ended up making the save as Mercedes ended up breaking the hold. Chris Statlander ended up checking on Kiera Hogan. Mercedes Martinez then grabbed the TBS championship. And as soon as Chris Statlander turned around, Mercedes Martinez ended up decking Chris Statlander with the title. So then Will Nightingale ended up coming out to make the save. And pretty much that was that. So it looks like Mercedes Martinez wants a shot at Chris Statlander for the TBS championship. So but that was that. Overall, okay women's match between Mercedes Martinez and Kiera Hogan. Both women we haven't seen on TV in a while. Main event. FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler versus Adam Cole and MJF. This was for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Very good match this was. A lot of people were behind MJF and Adam Cole winning this match. When FTR ended up coming out, they got boos from the crowd. And these guys worked really well with each other, FTR, Cole, and MJF. So the match got underway. Adam Cole and Dax Harwood started off the match. Fans were going crazy. They were excited for this match. So Cole and Harwood locked up. Both men end up breaking the hold. Harwood ended up taking down Cole as he ended up getting back up. Cole sent Harwood into the corner as Harwood ended up countering with some chops. Cash Wheeler was then tagged in. He ended up having Adam Cole down on the mat with a headlock. Cash Wheeler ended up attempting to cover Adam Cole, who rolled out of that. Cash Wheeler had Adam Cole, after he got up, he ended up sending him down hard to the mat. Cole ended up coming back with a kick to Cash Wheeler. So Cole then tagged in MJF. Cash was sent to the ropes, and he was caught by Harwood as the fans ended up booing. So Cash and MJF were in the ring. MJF ended up rolling to the outside, and he mocked FTR as he got back to the ring. Cash Wheeler then tagged in Dax Harwood, which got boos. So MJF got the fans hyped up. MJF ended up asking the fans, bash his what? And the fans, I guess, were saying bash his balls or something like that. So Harwood ended up sending MJF down. He then picked MJF up for a scoop slam, and he dropped him down. Dax attempted to charge at MJF. He ended up going down on the mat. MJF went down on the mat. He was in pain, rubbed his ankle, to which, of course, MJF was playing possum with that, because he ended up getting back up, and Dax ended up shoving MJF as Wheeler ended up coming in, and then Cole came in. So we had a shoving match between these guys. We had Adam Cole slapping Dax Harwood. So then Collision ended up going to commercial. So then as Collision came back from the commercial, Harwood was working on MJF's back. Harwood continued working on MJF's back. Harwood ended up attempting to lock in the sharpshooter on MJF, but MJF kicked Harwood, who tagged in Cash Wheeler. So both Harwood and Wheeler were in the ring. They ended up stopping MJF from making the tag to Cole. So MJF ended up coming back with a double DDT on FTR. MJF ended up trying to tag in Cole, but FTR ended up stopping MJF. MJF rolled to the corner and tagged in Adam Cole. Adam Cole came in and he ended up nailing Cash Wheeler with a pump kick. So Adam Cole then picked up Cash Wheeler and dropped him. So Cole ended up going for the cover, and Cash Wheeler ended up kicking out. Cole then locked up Wheeler, and he was unable to make the tag to Harwood. Cole then rolled up Dax Harwood, and Dax Harwood ended up kicking out. Dax then ended up dropping Adam Cole with a high crossbody. He ended up going for the cover, and Cole ended up kicking out. Cole then ended up delivering a huge super kick on Dax Harwood, and he ended up going for the cover. Harwood ended up kicking out. Cole then tagged in MJF. So Cole and MJF were going for the double clothesline, but FTR ended up ducking that. Cole ended up super kicking Cash Wheeler as MJF ended up rolling Cash Wheeler up, and Wheeler ended up kicking out too. Cole then super kicked Wheeler again, and MJF ended up covering Wheeler, to which Wheeler ended up kicking out again. MJF then called for the double clothesline. So Dax Harwood then pulled MJF as Cash Wheeler rolled up Adam Cole, and Adam Cole kicked out. So Cash Wheeler then picked up Adam Cole, sent him on the top rope, and tagged in Dax Harwood. Cole then ended up sending both FTR down. So Dax was up on the top rope. Dax ended up dropping Adam Cole with a huge superplex, and then Cash leapt off the top, and he delivered a huge diving splash onto Adam Cole. Dax ended up going for the cover, and Adam Cole ended up kicking out. So Adam Cole then tagged in MJF, and MJF and Dax ended up beginning to exchange blows. MJF ended up trying to go for a pile driver, and Dax Harwood picked up MJF, dropped him with a slingshot powerbomb, and Harwood ended up going for the cover. MJF then kicked out. So MJF was down as Dax climbed to the second rope. MJF then distracted the ref as Cole ended up sending Cash Wheeler to the outside. MJF then nailed Dax Harwood in the face. He ended up going for the cover, and Dax Harwood ended up kicking out. Cole attempted a boom on Dax, but it got blocked. MJF blocked the Shatter Machine as Dax rolled up MJF, and Dax ended up going for the cover, and there you go. FTR ended up winning the match, retaining the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Post-match, Cole and FTR end up shaking hands. MJF looked sad. He looked disappointed. He was like, "Oh, I lost the match. I lost us the match. I blew it." So Adam Cole ended up telling MJF they blew it. So Cole picked up the AEW World Championship and he gave it to MJF. Cole ended up telling MJF that he loves him. MJF was upset that he lost the match for him and Cole. And there was a little tease here where it looked like MJF was going to deck Adam Cole. But he ended up turning back. Adam Cole ended up telling MJF to hit him. But Adam Cole turned around. MJF tossed the belt down. Both Adam Cole and MJF ended up hugging it out. The fans loved that. So Cole ended up telling MJF to pick the World Championship up. Adam Cole then raised MJF's hand. MJF then ended up going up on the second rope to celebrate. So both Cole and MJF hugged again. And pretty much that was how Collision went off the air. Overall, this was a very good main event here with FTR and Cole and MJF. You know, they worked really well together, these guys, and the crowd was into it. But good match it was. And overall, AEW Collision was a very good, enjoyable show tonight. But anyways, that's it for the AEW Collision review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, I'll see you all later.